How you doing, YouTube? It's Will from Will Development, and this is my 400th weekly update. I had a 400 weekly updates. This is actually probably week 400, 405. I think over the last 5-ish years I've been doing this, I think I've really only completely skipped like 5 in total weeks. Possibly even less. I know I've had at least 3 this year. It's just been the way the schedule goes, sometimes it just is what it is. I had every intention of shooting a video, even just on my phone, last Friday while I was up in New Hampshire, but, I'm out there, I'm trying to get new contacts, marketing, buzzwords, right? And, with that, sometimes it means you're out till 2 a.m., just hanging out with the community, because that's a very important part of my business, is that the fellow strongmen and strongwomen, maybe we just call that a general, just like a neutral term, strongmen community knows that I'm one of them. I'm a cool guy, you know what I mean? If there's one thing I really don't like in really any kind of hobby sport, which strongman most certainly is I don't like people that don't participate in the sport at all, but still will take your money. Part of it sort of boils down to one of my marketing strategies, which is I know what a good stone is because I lift them in competition. I know what good tacky is because I use my own tacky in competition. The things I make work when it counts. And when it counts to me. When it counts to, clients and customers. My products perform when it counts. And it's important to me to be a part of the community too. I actually just heard a quote the other day, and I'm swinging back to everything, I promise. I heard a quote just the other day, or read it, or whatever. No, I heard it. It was on a story from another business that I actually really like. They're actually up in Tennessee. They do custom weightlifting belts. Belt Fed Strength on Instagram. I believe their website is beltfedstrength.com. Not 100% sure on that, but if you definitely go to Instagram, you'll find Belt Fed Strength. And it's just him and his wife, and they do amazing custom belts. And I've actually bought 2 of them now for one of my friends, and then even my wife. And it's important to me to support someone like that because both of them are lifters. Both of them participate in strongman and powerlifting. They know what makes a good belt and what doesn't. And both of the belts that I've put my money towards to get are just amazing quality. The craftsmanship is second to none, as well as the attention to detail. You can tell they care. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I hope people see in my work, is that I do care. And what's great is I've talked to the guy who runs it, Chris, multiple times, just, online and stuff, and I think it rings true of people who legitimately give a shit about what they do when they hate everything they make. I always say this is the best stone I've ever made until the next one, because I constantly want to provide the highest level of quality that I can. And as my skills have grown over the last 8 years of doing stones, it has allowed me to constantly increase my production value when it comes to stones. And Chris and his wife at Belt Fed Strength they're no different than that. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate that they're part of the community too. And I also appreciate the fact that they don't sponsor a bunch of athletes and sort of ask for shares and stuff like that. They're much like me. The majority of their business has come from word of mouth. which in my opinion is going to be the most reliable sort of marketing. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with, marketing through commercials or something like that. But if somebody sends free stuff to a high-level athlete, for instance, in sport of strongman or powerlifting, what have you, and then that athlete's like, yeah, this stuff's great, it's changing the game, or something like that, you know what I mean? Or it's the best stuff I've ever used. I can't take that seriously because they sent it to you for free. For all I know, you're just whoring out to try to get a sponsorship out of the deal, so, you never have to buy another stone again, or you never have to buy another log again, or belt, or, chalk, whatever it might be. And I'm not blaming you. I'm not dogging anybody for doing that. Hell, if a company I actually respected offered me a sponsorship just to say their stuff was great, I'd be hard pressed to say no. You know what I mean? But I don't like that stuff. I don't like that kind of marketing strategy. It's disingenuous, and unfortunately, a lot of people do fall for it. Because it especially in strongman and powerlifting, a lot of people get caught up in, well, this top level athlete's doing it, why shouldn't I do it? And again, I'm getting back to everything, I promise. Just mild tangents here. It brings me back to a conversation I had with I'm going to call them young athlete. They were actually my age, but in the sport they were young, because I've been, competing now for over 6 years, and I've been in the sport for almost 9. And the conversation, we were about to do stones, and I remember I was just applying my tacky, because I knew I was about 2 or 3 out, and I said, cool, all right, I just want to be ready, let's go. And I'm standing there, and one of the guys starts talking to me. He's like, yeah, I was watching Tom Stoltman do stones, and the kid was saying something else, and I just kind of looked at him, and I was like, why? Why would you watch Tom Stoltman do stones? Why would you take advice from Tom Stoltman? Oh, well, he's the best stone lifter in the world. I was like, yeah, Brian Shaw was at one point too. Why would you listen to him? And he didn't quite get it, and I said, that dude's 6'8". Tom Stoltman's 6'6". They're both 400 pounds. You're my height. You got more in common with that golden retriever over there than you do with them. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm not saying watch what I do and do what I do, but these guys giving particular tips and tricks, they might not understand that not everybody's 6'6", or they may not be. The general advice they're giving can't apply to every single person, and they're going to have a slightly skewed opinion, just like everybody will. And don't get me wrong, yes, it's, the chart, right? Most people fall in that big curve here. But, you're not Tom Stoltman. You're not 6'6". You're not 400 pounds. You don't have a 900-pound deadlift. Why would you mimic this person? Mimic somebody that's your size. And so, it kind of goes back to that. This pro athlete does this thing. Yeah, and they're a pro athlete. They have the way to do things that they think are the best way to do things, And so, all that being said, I was out till 1-ish in the morning, basically every single day, and then up at 5 the entire weekend, because I believe New Hampshire is on the surface of the sun, perhaps. I live in Florida, and it was still the sun does not attack you at 5 in the morning. It is the common decency to wait till 8 to make everything humid and sticky. New Hampshire, I guess they just rise earlier when you get above the Mason-Dixon, because boom, 5 o'clock, it's just sun. And I, mild bone to pick with every Airbnb on the planet. Why do you use sheer curtains? Just buy blackout curtains. Do us all a favor. You know what I mean? I can't travel with blackout curtains everywhere I go. Do me a favor, just put them in the room. If the person doesn't want to use the blackout curtains, they'll open them. You know what I mean? Especially when it is high noon at 5 in the morning. So that was a lot of my weekend. It was operating on very limited sleep. And so as you can imagine, it was by the time I got back to the Airbnb every single night, especially Friday night, it was just this ain't happening. You know what I mean? I'm not in any kind of mood. None of it. Anyway, after all those thoughts are out now, overall the weekend was absolutely amazing. It was great to meet a bunch of internet friends and make a bunch more friends while I was there. Acquaintances, whatever you want to call it. You know, I mean, I don't know if we're really friends if we live 5 states away and I can't do anything for you. But to expand my personal knowledge of people in the community was a great feeling. And, you know, I really enjoyed the experience. And especially seeing some people I hadn't seen in a number of years, like Phil Carr from Arsenal Athletics and his wife. I hadn't seen him since World's Strongest Man in 2019 or 18, something along those lines. But we've continued to stay in touch online. And, you know, I'm sponsoring a couple of comps up north too. And just people I met due to the national sponsorship. And meeting them in person finally and getting along with them and, you know, showing that I am a cool guy, they're a cool guy, that kind of thing. It's nice, you know what I mean? It's nice when you meet people in person and they're just as cool as they were. Meeting a couple stonemakers from across the country that I chat with here and there, you know. I mean, you want to talk about strongman. I don't know what the number is, but I've often said I think strongmen kind of forget how small of a world we really live in, where probably over the entire world, there might be 5,000 people that give a shit about the sport. There's maybe 200,000 that participate in it. And this is globally. These are just my guesses based on nothing, honestly, other than, like, I talk to tons of people, and if they're not in the sport, they don't know anything about it. So yeah, it's like, and then of that 200,000 that are, like, participants in the sport, stonemakers in the entire world that do it, like, professionally, maybe 50, maybe 100. So it's there's very few of us. So it's like when you get to meet people that understand the kind of difficulties that come along with that job. And I'm not complaining about my job. I mean, every job has something you don't like about it, you know. So it's like talking about how we found a solution to X problem or Y problem. It's great to make those connections and have those conversations with people like that. So yeah, overall amazing weekend. I'm glad to be home. And I will say on Monday, I woke up and my left hip and back were just wrecked. I mean, to the point where, like, bending and walking was very painful. I didn't get home until almost 10 on Monday night. And then Tuesday, it was like walking was taking a majority of my strength to just do because it was just so painful. And it was just from standing around a lot and then walking around a lot and then standing around again, you know. So I went in on, I want to say Wednesday. Oh no, I think I went in on Tuesday. And I did some light squats, basically just singles, taking very, very slow, trying to just kind of stretch things out that I could. It was hurting to brace. So I was like, all right, 225 it is. And I mean, it still moved like 225 should, which is just to say easy. And then I did a bunch of lunges because I was like, hey, maybe it'll stretch something out while I'm doing lunges. And it doesn't hurt a crazy amount. Just trying to get some blood in there. Just trying to get blood moving into the muscles that probably need some blood, you know, some fresh nutrients to heal them up. And then Wednesday felt so much better. Went from like a constant 7-ish down to like just pressure and maybe peaking at a 5 if I moved just the wrong way, you know what I mean? And then by Thursday, mostly just a pressure feeling, but I did do some almost rack pulls, and nothing hurt, but it was one of those like, you're not 100%, the strength is not totally there right now, you know, kind of situations. And then today, hitting dumbbell, I got to assume some of it was affected by that pain in my hip, but nothing was crazy bad, and I still ended up having a pretty decent dumbbell workout, so I was happy with that, because I need that to be good for the most part in training. So yeah, that's it, man. You know, I say And that was that quote. I'll go back to that quote from Chris was, "We didn't want to be profiteers in this industry without also being participants." And that, I made a post on my Instagram, just put the quote out there, and I said, ask the person you're buying something from when the last time they did a comp was. If they can't answer that, ask them when the last time they volunteered at a comp was. And if they can't answer that, ask them when the last time they went to just fill out a crowd at a comp was. And if they can't answer that, then ask them why you should give them your money. Because they don't really support the sport you're in. They just like taking your money. And if you don't do that, then what's your excuse?